Can we get him some fucking Post-it notes?
I know, we do. We need Post-it notes.
He can't keep two things straight.
Dude, that's
How does he
hard.
work high-level jobs?
That's the thing, though.
It's not the only thing he can't keep straight.
Oh.
The thing is, my mind power goes Monday through Friday, and the weekend I don't give a shit. It just goes to waste. It's like goes to completely to waste.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
I am drunk.
PDL.
PDL.
It's the new t-shirt.
Yeah.
And we are diving into the semifinals and finals of the hunt for Old Elk-Tober.
I'm surprised, like, when we did the March Dramness, Roberto was very big on every episode telling everybody how he came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And he's only, like, said it once on the Hunt for Old October that he came up with this idea.
I'm trying to get everybody to get credit for it. Although I came up with it. I came up with it, but I'm letting you guys take credit. It's fine. It's fine. You know, spread the wealth.
This is a story.
Although I came up with it, what, like 6 months ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, we should. I remember.
I
sitting
think
here.
you're like, hey, we should do March Dramness. You know what we should also do in October?
Well, I remember-
Is Jake should buy every single Old Elk
Exactly.
ever released between now and October, and then do a
Which he
big
did.
Elk-Tober.
So from my vantage point where I sit, I can see the whole collection of Old Elk. And I remember one time in like May, be like, oh shit, what are we gonna do in the fall? Like we should do like October hunt for Elk October.
Yeah, that's exactly what we called this, the Hunt for Elk October. And I also like how you plan something in May for the fall when you make plans for something 2 days in the future that you've already had plans for like months because you forgot.
I have a Cubs game on Sunday. I gotta go to the Cubs game. I can't skip it.
This is a throwback to a big inside joke where I was going to have Roberto's parents were in town. I was having a bunch of people over for grilled wings. I bought a shit ton of very high-end,
Yeah, you
expensive butcher shop grilled wings. And the day before, Roberto's like, shit, I actually can't make it. We have tickets to a Cubs game at that time.
I thought it was Saturday, and
And we were talking about it for like 3 weeks.
Yes.
at least it was,
Yes.
I think it was longer
Dates
than that.
confirmed and everything.
Yes.
And
I
the
think it
day
was longer than
before,
that.
he was like, oh, shit.
It was literally
The
day
game
before,
is
yeah.
actually on
I
Saturday.
felt so bad, man. Shit, I feel bad. I thought it was Sunday the whole time.
I was
It
so excited to meet at Mr. and Mrs. PDL
Saturday. Yeah,
and
they're good
cook for
PDLs,
them
man.
and give them drinks and give them very, very good food.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I couldn't even be there until later, I
Yeah.
think.
Which
Yeah.
I knew that.
and you showed up.
Yeah, I mean, well,
And I
once I
didn't.
found out that you were screwing Dan over, I was like, oh, Jesus, I got to be there now and eat something.
How
'Cause
many wings do you have left over?
Enough for about 3 days of eating worth.
Oh shit! I owe Dan, man. God dang it.
all right, let's dive into it.
Dan's been good.
So this is the semifinals for the left side of the bracket,
Yep.
which is the blended bourbon versus the weeded bourbon.
Correct. And on the path to get here, we started off Sour Mash 2 took on the 4 grain and 4 grain 1.
Yep.
That was the play-in game. And then 4 grain took on blended bourbon.
Yep.
And that was a 2 to 1 vote. And blended bourbon moved on. And then the bottom part of the bracket, we had weeded versus straight wheat.
Yep.
That was a clean sweep for weeded, but again, very close. So we will take a sample of these two, see which one will represent the left half. What are you going to call the left half, Roberto? You had a great name for it. What was the left half of the
The
bracket?
the thinking half.
Okay, the thinking half, because that makes sense.
Because the left half of the brain is the thinking side of the brain.
That left was artistic.
Yeah, I thought so too.
The artistic side.
Yep.
That's what we're calling
Okay,
it.
good call.
What did I say?
That's
I forget
wrong.
now. Wait, what did I say?
You said the thinking side, but it's the left half is the artistic side.
That's what I meant.
You're very left-brained.
Yeah.
Well, if Roberto had one, he would be left-brained. But since he doesn't,
What did I say?
You
Like
said
what-
thinking.
No,
You-
I mean like when I called it something.
You didn't. I put you on the
Democrat.
spot to come up with a good name to show everyone that you can't do
The
anything.
Democrat. Biden.
Well, then in that case, double wheat or rye is going to win because that's on the right side.
Sweep. House sweep. Senate sweep.
All right. Well, getting into it, I think the surprise, honestly, the blended. Well, let's go back through the mash bills of these real quick. So
Yeah.
blended is the original one. We talked about it in the first episode of the Hunt for Old Elk-Tober. When Old Elk started, they went to Greg Metzg at MGP and said, we want a smooth, easy drinking bourbon for our hunting lodge. And they said, you have free reign over to pick what this is. They put it together, or Greg Metzg put it together. This comes out at 88 proof. It's a 4-year-old bourbon. 51% corn, so just hitting the limit for a bourbon. 34% malted barley, 15% rye, and this comes in around $50. This is their original one. This is still sourced. They haven't had their own stuff come out yet. But that was the mash bill they came up with, and this is something they wanted for just a smooth, easy drinking bourbon at the ranch. Now, it's been a little bit since we've tried this one. What are your guys' memories of when we tried this one for the first day of the bracket?
The blended?
The blended.
I mean, this one was smooth. I mean, it's the lowest proof out of all of them.
Yes.
So it should drink
And the
pretty
youngest.
smooth.
Well,
And
I
the
mean,
youngest, yeah.
And
That's true.
I didn't pick it, so I don't know. I don't have anything good to say. I picked the 4 grain.
I think when I think back to the 4 grain, the 4 grain was very complex, what you would think it would be with having 4 different grains in it.
Yeah.
The blended was very one note, but I think it was a tough choice for me
Yeah.
because it's blended is very one note, but it's such a very good note
Yeah.
on it, is what I remember.
Yeah.
Now today it could taste completely different, but that was my memories from the first round.
I liked it. I mean, it was good. I just like the 4 grain. I thought the 4 grain was great. Like I was a big fan of the 4 grain.
All right.
But it's out
That's what I
now.
remember.
It's out now, so let's
You asked what I remember from the match. It's like I remember that I picked the 4 grain.
No.
What else the fuck do you want to know?
No. I want to know. Let's get your thoughts here. Let's dive back into the
blended?
blended
All right.
since this is what we'll see. So
I enjoy it. It's smooth. I think it's a very decent pour. I mean, I can drink this every night. I think this is great. You know, again, I was a big fan of the 4 grain. I was sad to see the 4 grain be beat by the blended. But this is great. Like I have no reservations about this one. It's good. It's oaky. It's vanilla.
There's a fantastic like vanilla caramel
Yeah.
note on the palate. The finish, I think the vanilla carries through heavier
Yeah,
than anything else.
yeah.
I'm not getting a ton of oak.
I get some, but you're right. It's not like very present.
mainly on the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes through with the vanilla on the finish a little bit.
Very vanilla.
It's not very spicy. Even though it's a 15% rye, I don't think that really shows through that much.
But the 34% malted barley is going to kill.
I mean, yeah,
And
that's
you taste the barley. Like the bar. That's why I like this too.
yeah. You get
Because
that
can taste the
cereal
barley.
note for sure.
I can taste the malted barley right now. Like almost like a note of scotch. Almost. It's really good.
Yeah, that like
is
single malt kind of lingers in the
does.
front
Yeah.
a lot.
Love that.
And I think I said this when we tried it the first time. I'm not saying it tastes similar to. I'm saying that it reminds me of like a Blanton's because it's very one note, but it's one note that's done very well.
It's a good note. Yeah.
Yeah,
Blanton's doesn't have a lot of complexity to it. It's a smooth, easy drinking bourbon. I'm not going to say this is better or worse than it by any means. I'm going to say it just has that. It does one note. It does one note very well.
it's like a similar style, I'd say. I don't think they're very similar in flavor. Like you said,
Right.
it's not the
No, I
same
don't think so
flavor.
either.
But
It's very
it
peculiar.
it is like the same kind of style's the only way I
Yeah.
can think of to describe it.
Yeah.
Well, and what Blanton's is the high rye mash out of Buffalo. The mash 2 is their high rye.
2, yeah.
And this is 15%, which I don't think they necessarily call a high rye.
High, right.
It's pretty close. It's getting there. But
what's the? Well, I guess we don't know what mash.
I think
2
usually
is.
like a high rye is like 20%.
Yeah.
At
And
least.
mash 2, I guarantee is like about 20. We don't know what it is, but I guarantee it's about 20. But this is, I mean, this at 15 rye is great because I do feel the spice. It lingers for a few seconds. It's great. And again, the vanilla, like you said, the vanilla notes really shine through really nicely. And this is a great whiskey. I mean, shit, I would pay whatever it is. What is it, 100?
50.
50? Shh, even better.
This is the prototypical bourbon flavor that you'd expect out of a good bourbon.
Yeah.
It really is.
And we mentioned last time, or the last time we drank this, that this is a 51% corn mash bill. So it's not very sweet. And that corn forward flavor isn't really there.
Yeah.
I think mostly what you're getting is a like hint of sweet from the corn, that strong cereal flavor from the barley.
Yeah.
And then the rye, I think, is kind of just rounding out everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Very well balanced bourbon.
It is very well balanced. You know, it's funny because every time I eat corn chips, which we just had during our break here a second ago, it marries the flavors really nicely. Like the bourbon and the corn chip creates a very specific and peculiar flavor in my mouth that I can't describe. But it only happens when I have corn chips and bourbon. I don't know. An observation.
Brings the corn forward.
Yeah, that's just an observation. And you know what happens? Something similar happens when you go to Gold Eagle and have the master classes, and Jake has the cheese and the chips and the nuts. There's like I don't know, it marries the flavors really nice. I can't describe it. I just know that it makes a lot of really nice. It's a party in my mouth. That's the way to describe it.
You want to come to a party?
The pants party?
I'm here
pants
for
party?
the gangbang.
All right, so next up, got the weeded
Did
bourbon.
you just fall out of your chair?
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm drunk as shit.
For those of you listening, if you haven't watched on YouTube, we have very few episodes left where Roberto's in-house. I highly recommend you just watch Roberto. Like, you don't put this on mute. I don't care because the time watched is all that matters anyways on YouTube. But just watch Roberto on mute and just enjoy.
Oh man. Ooh.
I think last episode he put his foot up in front of the camera.
Got his soccer ball socks on.
That's Argentina right there. I think. I don't know. Yep, it is.
It is Argentina.
Oh man.
All right, weeded bourbon.
Weeded bourbon. So let's go back to that. It's close to proof. So the blended bourbon was 88. This is 92.
Okay.
We jumped up a year from 4 years to 5 years. The weeded is 51% corn again. So we both have 51% corn. This, however, has 45% wheat and 4% malted barley.
Nice.
And this comes in around $60. What's interesting is the left half is cheaper bourbons and the right half is going to be expensive bourbons.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's interesting that we're going to have a cheap and an expensive in the finals. But yeah, the weeded, again, that's the first Old Elk bottle I ever bought. That's the one I took a picture of on my kayak, and they reached out to us and asked if they could use it. They shouted us out. Thanks again, Old Elk, for helping us out a little bit and then using it again. I should just start taking Old Elk everywhere with me and getting some unique pictures for them, because Old Elk has a really unique social media. If you don't follow them, follow Old Elk.
Yeah, they do a good job. I love them.
They're very nature, adventure forward. Their pictures are always Old Elk bottles in unique locations. I think they rely on their community a lot for that,
Which is great.
which is nice that they interact.
That's
with
why I like the brand. I mean, they do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if they had us out for an elk hunt.
I know.
Just saying.
I mean,
Again, you guys have never been hunting, so they wouldn't invite you. I'm the only one
would.
that's been hunting.
And I think you grab the rifle upside down like this.
Yes. Yes.
The more upside down, the
The
deadlier
more
it
accurate.
shoots.
Yeah, you counteract the spin drift at long
Exactly.
shots.
It's like, you compensate for gravity if you put it upside down. Anyway,
That makes sense.
it really does, and that's why they do it in the movies.
All right. Well, the weeded.
Dan moves on from my.
I know. I just can't some days, Roberta. Just can't. Uh, I want to see you shoot a rifle upside down. Can we get your buddy's Barrett 50?
Yeah.
And have Roberto just freehand that upside down?
Shoot with his pinky.
Yeah, I just want to see him get knocked back about 7 feet.
Texas.
He is moving to Texas, which means he should have about 30 guns after 2 days of being there.
One after one. Yeah.
I would hope you have a lot of guns shortly.
It will be soon. Yeah.
And if you happen to buy a suppressor there and it accidentally makes it in a suitcase bag back
Into a UPS
to
into
Illinois.
a UPS box.
Yeah, like I can't control that.
I don't think they'll let me through TSA with that.
You got global entry, you're good. You got a known traveler number. They don't care about you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Shit. Oh god.
Yeah,
What
I
are we
mean,
tasting right now?
Weeded.
Weeded? Okay.
weeded bourbon. So this one, I think Dan kind of mentioned that
God damn.
this is. I think this is the one that I said was bready
Yes.
Yeah.
in the last
Yep.
episode
Yep.
or 2 episodes
2
ago.
episodes, yeah.
Which I think it still is.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
It's the flavor I think is similar in complexity to the blended bourbon.
Yeah.
It's not incredibly complex, but you get a decent whatever that like wheat flavor is, whether you think it's bread or like that cereal note or whatever, and that kind of just shines. You get a little bit of sweetness boost on this one, I think,
Yes.
from the wheat and the corn together.
It's very sweet.
It's not quite that like corn sweet, because the wheat I think is kind of
Yeah. It's a little
augmenting
different
that
sweet,
a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is a good one too. This is a tough call.
It really is, because again, that blended, I can drink it any day of the week, and it's just great. I'm a big fan, and I was a big fan of the wheated one. I voted for it. It's just, to your point, the sweetness that it gives it, it's not a corn sweet. It's a cereal, Cheerios honey nut sweetness. I think it's how I described it when I was tasting it.
It's like when you let like a cracker sit in your mouth for like a long time and eventually starts developing that like sugar.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's kind of what it is. It's not like
Yeah, this is great. Holy crap. The more I taste it.
it's almost mapley. Not quite, but
Syrupy.
it's kind of close.
Definitely some.
Yeah, I'd
some
say it's
syrup.
like fake maple syrup,
Yeah,
kinda tastes like-
but
yeah.
it's good though in a good way. I definitely taste the wheat. To your point, it's not like a bread or a wheat. It's like a cereal. Again, Cheerios is probably the best way that I can describe this. Almost this is an interesting one, but it's almost like a PBJ for me. Like it was like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I'm eating.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not gonna call it now, but this is my favorite.
It's interesting because the blended for me, I got more on the finish and less on the palate. And the weeded, I'm getting more on the palate and less on the finish.
That
Yeah.
is a good way to say it, because I'm getting a lot on the palate. A lot. This is like a party in my mouth. And I'm invited.
That's what you said for the last one.
And I'm invited.
Which party's better?
I don't know. Well, it depends. Yeah, which one's a rave and which one is a
Sophisticated cocktail party.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Roaring 20s party. I don't know. They're different.
They're very good. They're both very good. before we came into this, I was basically predetermined on what I thought was going to win. But after tasting these two back to back, it's a lot closer than I thought it would be. And we've mentioned it a few times because we had wheat on the first episode. We had the double wheat on the second episode. The reason they did this was basically to compete with Weller.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of companies out there that do wheated to compete with Weller, and it's just a wheated bourbon. Yeah. This is a wheated bourbon that competes with Weller. And if you're if you're a Weller fan and you can't find Weller, get Old Elk wheated.
I said this last time. I said this last time. I got into bourbon because of Weller Special Reserve. I like this one better than Special Reserve. Like, I really do. Like, it's got way more flavor.
Like, Maker's Mark is a good example of a, like, an entire brand built on wheated bourbons. Yeah. I don't think that stands close to this.
Completely agree.
Some of their private select stuff.
Yeah,
some of that stuff does. The normal Maker's Mark, but then again, that's a $30 bourbon versus a $50 bourbon. It should be better than Maker's.
Wait, private select is not $30.
No, the regular Maker's is $30.
Yeah, the regular.
Private select is like $70.
But and we've tried a few other wheated bourbons.
Yeah.
I think this is the closest to the Weller / Buffalo Trace mash bill that we've tried.
I would not say that 107 or 12 is worse than this, but this is better than Special Reserve in my opinion. So good. This is just so flavorful.
Yeah,
really enjoy this.
This is I can't remember. I think we talked about this. This is a bourbon you can have in any scenario. It's a everyday bourbon. It's a out on the porch fall bourbon. Yeah. It's a spring bourbon. It's a summer campfire bourbon.
TV bourbon. Yeah, I mean, it's just great.
Yeah, it's very versatile. Very,
very.
I think it's complex enough that it doesn't pigeonhole itself into a certain setting or like, whatever.
Right.
And it's, what is it? 88?
92.
That's perfect.
The bourbon?
No, the bourbon's 88. This is 92.
Yeah. So, at 88 proof, this is easily a weeknight.
Oh, yeah.
Weeknight drink.
Yeah. You're not getting drunk. You're just having something really good to sip on, which is flavorful.
Yeah.
But you're not looking to, it's not like Friday night where you're drinking the 107 or the 110. What was the 110?
There's a couple that were in the high or
well, the 115. The Infinity blend was 115.
115. Yeah.
I think the double wheat and the double wheat I think was a 110. And the rye was right around there too.
Yeah.
We'll get to those in a minute, but
we can call it now. Maybe.
Yeah, verdicts. I'm gonna go with the blended bourbon.
Shit. Good for you.
I personally like the sweet note in it better than the wheated bourbon. So yeah, I'm gonna go blended bourbon.
No. I respect that choice a lot.
Which means you're wrong.
No, it's not wrong. There's not right or wrong. There really isn't.
With all due respect.
But I respect it. No, I respect it. The blend. It's great. It's freaking phenomenal. I would buy that bottle any time of day. It's just that this wheated, holy crap. I mean, this just for me, it's so good. And again, I'm one of the biggest fans of Weller Special Reserve. I would pick this over Weller. That's my pick.
So it's on me. Okay.
Flip a coin.
What I think about both of these bourbons is there's nothing that stands out complexity-wise. They're very good at what both of them do, but they're not deep, they're not multi-layered.
No, they're not incredibly bold either.
Good point.
They're both very smooth drinking.
Yes.
Very like simple notes. But they're very good at what those notes are.
And that's not a knock on either of these.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
They both are a smooth, easy drinking bourbon without much up and down to them. But they do things completely differently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Can you give me just a little tiny sip of the blended? if this is going to come down to me, I want to make sure I do this.
Oh,
right.
you haven't picked it?
No, I haven't picked yet. Put a little bit, just a tiny little bit,
Just don't forget which
and
one's
then
which.
all right, swap. Oh, I know what the glasses are.
Yeah, I was gonna
All right.
say, yeah, you don't forget.
I know what's one and what. Oh man, so the blended is way more syrupy smell.
Yeah, it is. But the wheated, it's more flavorful, I think. My opinion.
All right, so that's one down the hatch.
Oh man, that blended is so good.
But the wheated is excellent. But the
It's
wheated
like
is-
I have a devil and angel on my shoulder, but they're both just devils. Like neither of you is an angel.
But that wheated is just beautiful. Oh man, that wheated is just so good. It's perfect.
Okay, on those final two steps,
Oh jeez, here it goes.
I have my solution, and it's the final solution.
Oh my
Hey,
god.
remind me next time not to have Dan go last.
Yeah, why do we
Dan
let
can
this
no go
happen?
last next time.
I wasn't a big fan of the finish as much
Oh
on the
my
blended,
God, here
so
it
we're gonna go
goes.
weeded.
Okay.
Damn.
So weeded moves on to the final.
Weeded's
It's
moving
all about
on.
the finish.
All right,
It's all how you finish.
are we gonna have to bleep out the final solution joke as well, like we did?
Maybe.
Jeez, sorry guys, I keep on making inappropriate jokes
hell's the
about
final
World War
solution?
II.
Don't explain it.
All right, I'll Google it.
It had to do with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, Germans. Classic Germans.
All right, so on the other side of the bracket, as Jake gets us ready, Sour Mash 2 went up against Double Wheat, and Double Wheat won the play-in game. So
Man,
both
are you
times,
rinsing your glasses in between?
no,
Well, that's the problem right there.
I just voted for the one you liked.
Well, no, I know. But you didn't vote for the one I like for the last 5.
What do we have?
It's because you're wrong. What's interesting is we did a random draw for this bracket, and both the Sour Mashes were in the the play-in games.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that Sour Mash 2 is one of our least favorite. Not that it wasn't a good bourbon, just not a favorite. Sour Mash 5 put up a good battle against Double Wheat. And then Double Wheat went up against a single barrel pick from Gold Eagle, and Double Wheat won that. However, I think we said if Sour Mash 5 would have beat Double Wheat, it also would have beat the single barrel.
Hold on. I got to get this right. Which one's this?
Double wheat.
All right, double wheat's in front. Okay.
In the bottom half, we had the Rye versus the Infinity Blend. Now, the Infinity Blend we all tasted at the masterclass, and none of us remember liking it that much. And it was a split vote versus
really
the
was.
Rye, and the Rye was a very good Rye. But the Rye ended up winning, but a lot closer than I think any of us thought. Well, that's a big pour. Holy hell. All right, well,
About the same as the other ones.
we're gonna do that then.
Is it right? Is it right?
So, with that being said, we have Double Wheat versus the Rye. There's already one wheated in the final. Are we going to have a wheat versus the Double Wheat? Or are we going to have a wheat versus a Rye?
Wait, we're in the final.
On the right side.
Semifinal.
Semifinal on
Oh,
the right
shit.
side. So,
We have more? After
Yeah.
this? I don't know how I'm going to drive home. Holy shit, Uber it is.
we will start with the Rye whiskey.
Oh, we're starting with the rye.
That's what's on
I
the...
poured double wheat first.
All right, so we'll start with Double Wheat
Yeah,
first.
double wheat's in front, right in the back. Mullet.
The Double Wheat proof is 107.1. There's no age statement on it, but based off of the material they put out, it's anywhere between 6 and 8 years old. The Double Wheat is 71.5% wheat, 25% corn, 3.5% malted barley. So something with no rye versus something that's almost all rye on this final.
This will be a good matchup.
This is
gonna
a
be
$100
hard,
bourbon.
man. This is going to be so hard.
Both of these are in that range, right?
Yeah, the rye is $90. This is $100.
Yeah.
So we had a 50 versus a 60 on the left side. We have a 90 versus 100 on the right side.
This is going to be so difficult. Holy crap. This is going to be a close match. My opinion. For me.
I mean, all of these have been very good. And before we once we finish the final, we'll kind of give a general consensus of Old Elk and the Old Elk bracket.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest takeaway we've had so far is well done. Hats off, Old Elk, for being
Yeah,
new
no, I
to
mean,
distillery.
I'll say now, you cannot go wrong with any of these. I mean, you can buy a bottle, and again, I have heard from at least 2 or 3 people that get overwhelmed at looking at the lineup. Just get one. Look at the labels, look at the match, very transparent. Look at what you like, and just pick up a bottle and drink it. Because holy crap, I haven't had one sip of Old Elk of anything that's bad. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, this is one where, like Dan said, I think in either the first or the second episode, that like whatever your particular taste is, just pick one of those, and like you're good to go.
You're good.
If you're a wheated, you're a rye. If you're a bourbon, if you're a sour mash,
Yeah.
if you're a wheat, you can't go wrong.
Even the sour mash too, which was probably my least favorite of the bracket so far. Even that, I would pick it up. I mean, it is decent. It's a decent whiskey. Quintessential bourbon.
The double wheat. So I have 2 bottles of Old Elk, and that's the wheated and double wheat. The double wheat is my favorite of the 2. And just taking a sip of this is better than the wheated just after having just tried the wheated, because this has a couple notes to it.
Yes. This is more complex.
This is the wheated, but more complex, which you'd expect with more wheat in it.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of, I know there's no rye in it, but you get a little bit of spice.
It's a spice. There's a spice.
Yeah.
There's a spice.
I don't get much of a nose on this one, but the palate is pretty
freaking
complex.
Beautiful. Oh yeah.
The palate, and then there's the
I
finish.
get good nose though. I mean, I get a good cereal-y nose in here. You know, there's a nice oat, Cheerios nose in this one. I'm enjoying both of them. The palate is just freaking wonderful. I do get cereal. You know, there's a for those of you who have eaten raw barley out of a barrel, this is exactly what it smells like. It smells like the barley that I ate out of a barrel.
Roberto, no human being on the planet has eaten barley out of a barrel
I'm sure
besides
somebody has. I mean, this is exactly what it smells like when I think of the barley that I ate out of the barrel.
No one does that.
It was so good though. Like I want more.
Okay. There's one thing I can think about that reminds me of that. In my small hometown, one of the big sports boosters had passed away young due to cancer, and they did a golf scramble in his name for the school. And every year, it's one of the biggest drunk things you can do. And we had a 4-hour rain delay, which means 4 hours of just drinking before you go golfing.
That's life.
My one friend was so hungry on the golf course, he started grabbing leaves off of trees and eating them.
That beats me.
And that versus you just taking handfuls of barley are
Very
similar.
That's not head to head. No. I'll take the barley before leaves off of trees, man. I was starving that day too.
Oh my god!
I love Barnstormers. They're great. In their lunch, those paninis were amazing, but they were so small that I was starving like an hour later.
Common logic would be to get another amazing panini,
Right?
Instead of just eating raw grain.
Go to their warehouse. Go to their rick house. No, it's not the rick house. It was a distillery.
Yes.
And go and grab like just handfuls of barley and eat them. They're so freaking good. I got my fiver for the year. Like my fiver intake for 2022, I did it all in one day at Barnstormers.
Probably.
Yeah, I got my fiver intake. That's good. Even God was like, dude, you're fine. You're good to go for the next 2 years. I'm like, all right, thanks.
You just
This is
brought
great.
God into this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
what?
I don't know. I mean,
I
whatever.
don't know what's happening anymore.
Been drinking.
So
for
I mean,
4
so
hours.
we're getting into the part of this tournament
Where we're drunk.
where we're drunk. But
Or at least
also,
I
everything is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
So this is getting down, I think, to like nitty gritty details between these whiskeys.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this one's hard to nitpick.
Yeah, it really is.
if I could come up with one thing to nitpick on the double wheat, I would say that maybe it's a little too simple.
The double wheat.
Yeah.
See, I would say the wheat is very simple. I would say that double wheat hasn't.
This one's more complex than the wheated bourbon for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's still on the simple side compared to some of the other bourbons that
Yeah.
we've had. I mean, then this isn't.
But at the same, like I get exactly what you're saying. At the same time, we've always said the blended is the most one note bourbon here, and it damn near made the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point, like, I would probably say the same thing about if the blended bourbon made it this far.
But you wanted it to make it this far.
I did, I mean,
I barely made it this far, man. I'm like this close.
so the rye next.
The straight rye. So this is right at 100 proof. This is 5 years old. Straight rye. So it's 95% rye, 5% malted barley. Nothing else but rye and the malted barley to break it down.
And again, this is the famous MGP rye mash bill.
Yep. That's Greg Metzger's recipe.
Yeah, that is in almost every rye on a shelf that's sourced from MGP.
Which is 90% of them.
Yeah, it's like
It's insane.
yeah, it's crazy.
You got to give it to Seagrams. Don't they own MGP, Seagram?
They used to.
Oh, not anymore?
Yeah,
Who owns MGP?
I'm not sure.
MGP's changed names a few times and changed
Yeah.
owners
Yeah.
a few times.
I would love to
Give me
go to
1
MGP.
second. I'm the research guy, so I'll
I want to say 2017 was
Okay.
when it became MGP, and
Yeah, was it-
Seagram sold it.
Yeah.
Luxco.
Is Luxco?
What the shit is
Luxco.
Luxco?
Okay.
And they acquired them in 2021, so recently.
I've heard their
Luxco-
tours are great.
Luxco. My parents were at Luxco.
That's Lux Row. That's
Luxco,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, you were talking
Yeah.
about Lexington.
Luxco is a giant distribution.
Luxco? Yeah.
Or it's not a distribution. It's a conglomerate like
Okay.
Diageo or whatever.
Oh, so it's like one of the big
Yeah.
alcohol.
Yeah, Luxco. I want to say their portfolio is mainly like clear liquors,
Okay. And they own MGP. Holy shit.
and they probably picked up MGP to get let's get
get
some
into the
whiskey in our
whiskey, yeah.
portfolio.
I would love to. I've heard those tours are one of the best. Like to go to the MGP and tour.
At MGP,
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
we probably could have gone there.
I know.
It was on
the
our way
back-
home.
On the way back, it was like
I'm sure
not
because
even.
it's almost in Kentucky also.
And it's like South Indiana, and it's off
yeah.
of the highway. Like it's right off of the highway that we took to
Yeah.
Kentucky. We should have gone, but anyway, I would love to see that distillery just because of the massive.
So Luxco is family owned.
wow,
Since founded in 1958, and the chairman and CEO is Don Lux of St. Louis,
Okay,
one of
LUX.
the region's largely private held companies.
jeez,
And in 2019 had a revenue of around 280 million, and that's before they bought MGP.
they produce a lot of whiskey. That's
huh?
for sure.
Okay, I thought they were much bigger than that. Because I thought Luxco
Yeah.
was like the number 3
Well,
or 4.
Well, they bought out MGP, so this was in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They bought MGP for $475 million in 2021.
Holy shit!
Wow, that's a lot lower than I thought it would
They
be.
were a $280 million company in 2019, and then they bought MGP
Oh.
for $475 million.
So
Okay.
now it's close to $1 billion. Yeah, I would love to see it. Just the scale, the scale of the operation. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Damn, that is crazy.
Now,
So where are we?
with the rye,
Are we in the rye? I haven't
We're on the
finished my
rye.
whole thing, my jig.
I left a little bit left for a final sip, but
Yeah.
and then we can always pour more for this. We got to be diligent.
I got to Uber home at some point, apparently. Same, not driving.
Well, we got time.
That is a good point. We got time.
We got time for a nap. The rye is a good rye.
Yeah.
You guys said it was probably up in your favorites behind Taylor, behind Willet, and
Willet
then
rye.
close with the Hard True Sweet Match Rye.
Yeah.
Sweet Mash Rye.
Oh, yeah.
I almost did a Jake there and called it Match or Batch or
Cabbage Patch.
Cabbage Patch.
Monster Mash.
Which, if you haven't heard of Hard Truth, find it. If you're a rye fan, the Hard Truth
absolutely
Sweet Mesh
phenomenal.
Rye is phenomenal, and that's coming from a guy that isn't a big rye fan. But again, this was a very good rye.
Mm-hmm.
Very solid, very drinkable.
Yeah.
Smooth finish on it.
Yeah.
I know you guys liked it. Again, the rye was very good. We didn't expect much out of Infinity, but I think the Infinity and rye were closer than we expected.
Yeah.
That votes come down to.
This is again very floral rye. It's got a lot of those like lavendery kind of
Floral notes. Yeah.
like eucalyptus, I think is what Roberto said last time. Like it's like tea notes, I guess.
Chamomile tea.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm serious.
it's really good. But I nitpicked the last one, so I got to nitpick this too. I think my one criticism of this is that there isn't enough of that like black pepper note for me.
Like this
for a rye anyway. Not that I'm like necessarily complaining, but
oh my God,
great. I like my ryes a little bit more peppery.
Yeah.
This one's got like very little. Which I know is Dan's like ideal rye whiskey. But for me personally, I like a little bit more of that pepper. But I mean, this is still like it's such a good rye.
Like thinking back on this, and I didn't mention this on the last episode. Some of the ryes I like are like in the 75% rye category.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 95% rye, and I think it has that same like toned down feeling of a 75% rye.
It does.
But it's 95%. So good on Old Elk for producing that.
I mean,
well, and it's like what the interesting thing is. We've tried this. I'm trying to remember what other ryes you liked.
Wise Man.
The Smooth Ambler Founder Series you liked.
Yep.
And some of the other ryes, they're like in that 75% area.
Mm-hmm.
This one's 95.
I don't mind Bullet Rye either, but again, that's an MGP product again.
Yeah, and that's that might be a 95.
Bullet Rye.
That is
I
a
think
95.
it is. But then we tried the piggyback, and you absolutely hated that, which is 100% rye. So it's interesting to me that 5% difference really.
I think it's how it's made, it's how it's aged, stuff like that.
I mean, there's so many other factors.
Because there's been 95% ryes I've hated as well.
Name one.
We've done a couple of them. What have we all done for ryes on here? I don't think I was a huge fan of a Restoration rye.
Like a long time ago.
I thought you did like Restoration.
I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was great.
Restoration rye is great.
Yeah, I love Restoration rye. It's really
We've tried ryes outside.
We did Hard
the
Truth,
podcast.
didn't we?
I mean, we've tried ryes outside the show, but
didn't we try Hard Truth on the show?
Oh, I liked Hard Truth. We did that. We did an episode on Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye after we tasted it down there, and I really liked that.
So freaking good, man. They did a great job too.
Yeah, I mean, Hard Truth is so good.
They did so good.
Well, do we pick? I'll go first. Since I went last time, and you guys made fun of me for going last. Nothing against the rye.
No, you should never let that go last. Yeah.
Double wheat's my favorite Old Elk I've ever had, and I am going to stick with it over the rye.
With double wheat?
The double wheat. I'm going to go double wheat.
Typical Dan.
That is
nothing against the rye. I think the rye is great. I think.
Well, it's no pappy, so I'm going to go with double wheat.
I am not upset with this Final Four. I think this Final Four is a very well-rounded, very great Final Four.
Yeah, this is a pretty competitive.
It's not like double wheat blew it away, but
every match has been great.
Yeah, I like how it's the cheap ones on the left and the expensive ones on the right after a random start. But I'm still gonna pick the double wheat. I just really love their wheat flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I like the double wheat because it does have some more complexity to it than the wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go double wheat.
I'm gonna go with the rye. Just because this is like a top 5 rye for me. I love rye to begin with. I feel like the rye is more complex in flavor than the double wheat, which was my knock against the double wheat, is I didn't feel like it was that complex. Not the and again, it's not saying that double wheat's not good because it's phenomenal. But you're talking about Ferraris versus Lamborghinis at this point, so I'm gonna go with the rye, so Roberto can break this tie.
Yeah, and I mean, I already made up my mind even before Dan said anything. Again, I gotta say, this is Old Elk. I mean, I haven't had one bad whiskey from them. This whole bracket has been tremendous. Even the mash too, which was again our least favorite, which I was like, yeah, one of the best lineups that I've seen. And I have been disappointed.
To use my metaphor, it's like saying that the Rolls Royce is your least favorite out of all the exotic cars,
or the band, exactly.
Whatever.
I have not been disappointed. This rye is just top 3. It's your top 5. It's probably my top 3 or 2, but maybe 3 because again, E.H. Taylor rye and Willet rye are my favorites. And this is great, and you can find it on the shelf. It's not that hard to find, which is good. But I'm gonna go with the rye. I mean, just the flavor of this. It's like drinking. It's like almost not whiskey. It's like drinking tea with. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just syrup, tea, and leather. If you could drink leather at some point, that's my take on this.
All right. So the rye is moving on.
Yeah, I think that's the final. Like. I think if anything was going to knock off the rye, it would have been the double wheat because now we're going to have the rye versus the wheated in the final.
Yeah.
And the wheated...
That's going to be hard.
The wheated isn't as good as the double wheat because the wheated is very one note.
I don't know, man. That wheated to me is probably better than the double wheat.
See, I like the double wheat better than the wheat. And I like the rye better than the wheated. So I don't... Not to drag this. I'm not trying to do a quick episode or anything.
I know. All right, we'll see you in about a month. Thanks for listening.
But for me, I'm going to pick the rye over the wheated. I think the double wheat edged out the rye.
You're already picking it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't need to taste again.
You can find us on Instagram.
I want to taste again.
I'll taste again, but I can tell you that I thought the double wheat was my favorite. The rye was probably my second favorite. And then the wheated and blended were both very, very close.
I gotta say,
that's my pick. So, I don't need any more rye. I just picked the rye.
So it's amazing.
I'm gonna grab some more double wheat here in a second.
It was hard. It really was. Like that. That last match.
That's what she said.
Exactly. It was hard. The double wheat is one of my favorite whiskeys that I've tried in a while. We've gone through how many master classes and blind tastings with Gold Eagle, and Old Elk is hands down like one of my favorites. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like, as a brand, I think they have one of the strongest lineups that we've tasted.
Oh, easily.
Next to like Buffalo Trace or one of those like conglomerate type right. Guys. And this is like they're not even 10 years old.
No,
not even. It's like 5 or 6.
What'll be interesting is they're still sourcing a lot. They're not. This isn't all their own
right.
product.
And this isn't even
the master distiller is sourcing his own shit.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna source. He knows exactly what he wants from NGP.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, he knows exactly where all the good
He's
stuff
like, all right,
is.
well, I want this one and this one and this one, and I know exactly where they're sitting on the warehouse, and I want those. That's why. I think that's why it's got a lot of factoring into it. That he knows exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
Because
that's we've seen. We've talked about Whiskey Acres hired
Dave
Pickerel, and they're busting out great stuff.
Yeah.
Castle and Key is phenomenal.
Yeah.
A lot of these like smaller startup-y type brands are really making a good name for themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're getting these like great blenders or master distillers to come in and assist with their startups, which is awesome to see.
For sure.
And fantastic because you get great whiskey out of it typically, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big fan.
You still deciding what you're going to pick for the final? The problem is you're drinking double wheat versus rye, and it's actually wheated versus rye. I poured you double wheat.
So where's the wheated?
No, this is the wheated.
Oh, is it? Okay. I thought it was
This is the right one.
I remember looking at the bottle.
Okay.
I'm giving it a fair shake.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm not like Dan. I'm not biased.
Oh my god.
Well, we've just tried them all. Like I remember, like when I put these in my head, my top 4 after I tried them all back to back to back to back was double wheat, rye, wheated, blended. So I knew exactly what I was going with.
Oh man, I don't know. This is gonna be hard.
One thing we haven't really mentioned.
Well, what's funny is if we would have stuck to my original bracket, we would have ended with double wheat versus rye.
No,
Screw you, Dan.
not necessarily, because if you guys pick wheated over rye, then wheated would have beat double wheat.
No, rye was always against Infinity. All the wheats were in their own sub
but
thing.
Wheated or double wheat could have came out in the final.
Well, one of them, yeah.
One thing we haven't talked a lot about, as you guys are sipping back and forth and picking your sides, the bottles are beautiful.
Yeah.
The cork looks like a chopped off antler. Very, very well done. It's Old Elk in big lettering. Greg Metzger's name is on the front, and then it tells you the exact style of whiskey that you're drinking. Very clean, neat front of the bottle. Very well done. They stand out on a shelf. They look cool, especially if you have like a log cabin or a hunting theme in your man cave or your house. Things like
I
that.
have 2 log cabins.
Before I moved out here, I actually lived in a log cabin
Nice.
in the woods.
Before you got homeless? Before you lived in
No,
a
like
blue
way
tarp?
before I even met you the first time. So back when life was wonderful, I lived in a
Wow.
log cabin in the
Wow.
woods off of a unpaved road.
Wow.
And
I
then
can't tell if you're lying or not.
I'll show you the thing.
Guy through his fucking teeth.
I know. I lived in a small little log cabin in the woods.
Because I could also see Dan being like, I was born a poor black child.
I was not.
I was born in Afghanistan, and then in 1992, somebody adopted me. I
No,
was a
the,
translator, and that's how I got a visa.
the first house I bought was a brand new log cabin that had just been built as like a weekend getaway cabin. So like the bedrooms were like 7 feet by 10 feet. So we had to renovate a brand new log
Out
cabin.
by Forston?
Out by Forest in a small town called Leaf River. Leaf River is a town of like 500 people, and I was a couple miles outside of it off of an unpaved road.
Oh, okay.
And it was a log cabin, so I had to refinish it. I had to drill a well.
Ooh.
Like had to do all.
Oh, jeez.
Like we had to do all. I didn't drill the well. I had to pay for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To drill a well through 200 and some feet of sandstone.
Well, I guess that's a little bit more fitting to Dan's personality
That's
then.
exactly what I was gonna say. It's like,
But no,
that
it's-
sounds just like Dan.
It was a beautiful little log cabin in the woods. This would fit that style very well. And kind of wish I still had that log cabin in the woods to go back and drink some Old Elk on.
I would go with you and drink it at your cabin. That's how much I like Old Elk.
Overall, though,
Not
like
you, just Old Elk.
When we start a distillery, that'll be the company retreat.
yeah,
Dude, I mean, you guys.
my
tell
dad
me
still
when.
owns that house and rents it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you guys tell me when, because I'm getting ready to just bail on corporate life and start a distillery somewhere.
This is how you know Roberto's really drunk.
Yeah. I don't want money anymore. I just want to live in a log cabin in the woods where no one's around. Lindsay would love that.
She really would.
All the people that he works with are like, why do we hire this guy?
That's what everybody says.
I'm ready to leave. I'm so sick of this shit.
Screw you guys. I'm out.
Yeah.
I guess before we get to our final reveal here, Old Elk is great. Old Elk didn't sponsor us. Old Elk has nothing to do with this.
Zero sponsorship.
Jake's collected a lot of Old Elk barrel or bottles, we thought it would be fun to do a run through of their entire lineup. Like, so we do appreciate them for sharing one of our posts with one of their bottles.
Yeah, they did.
But
And hopefully more.
that being said,
Yeah, we gotta take
if
some
Greg
pictures.
Metzk or Kurt Richardson, the owner, or one of their social media people happen to hear this and want to say, hey, come out to the distillery, or hey, come out to the Elk Lodge, we'll take you out
I'd
on
love
an
to
elk
go
hunt.
out there.
We'd be more than happy to. But again, these opinions aren't paid for, aren't bought. This is
They are not.
true, honest. We don't have a big following, so
And they never will be
and there never will be a big following
until they, well,
As long
if
as-
somebody pays us, I'll take it. But
yeah.
as long as-
I'll sell out in a heartbeat. Everyone's got a price, and mine's not high.
yeah.
But no, Old
I
Elk,
just told
great,
everybody I'm not.
great product. A very young, promising distillery. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they start creating. Or
Yeah,
putting
like we
out
said,
their own.
we're not too far away, I don't think, from them releasing their own.
You're right.
juice.
I think, yeah,
Couple years, yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for
I'm
that.
Excited.
It'll be interesting to see if they go the Bardstown route and kind of blend it in over time,
Oh,
or if
yeah.
they go straight to their own stuff.
Right.
But you know,
it sounds
I mean,
like they're going straight to their own stuff.
that's what it's kind of sounded like. But you know, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get another chance to talk to their rep
Yeah.
in the
nice,
near
yeah.
future.
We should go to Old Elk.
And what I think they were up by Fort Collins.
Yeah.
And I would love to go back up. I just met someone on my trip from in Slovenia that was from Fort Collins area.
Oh,
So,
really?
Fort
Nice.
Collins,
Yeah.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Nice.
Isn't it a small world?
And
Yeah,
then
sure.
Anheuser's right there too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Coors
So-
is, I think
Coors
not
is just down the
Coors,
road
yeah.
in Golden. It's about
Yeah.
20 minutes down the road from Fort Collins, just south.
Yeah.
So hey,
Bring me out there. That's fine. Bring me out to the ball game.
Yeah.
all right.
We can stay on a ranch,
stay on
learn
the
how
ranch.
to learn
We
how to
started
rope
with John-
horses, and
Dutton, Ryan.
That was
Ranch,
Montana.
And, oh, was it?
That was Bozeman,
I don't know,
Montana.
whatever's west of Iowa, I'm like completely lost.
Isn't Texas west of Iowa?
No. Maybe
no,
south.
it's not.
Part of
Completely,
it
like
is.
directly south.
Part of it is, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
The bulk of it's
I
directly
mean,
south.
If you're gonna think about the whole state, yes, absolutely. Like the west side of Texas, like in Oregon or some shit like that.
All right. Well, as a recap, we had the final four: blended versus wheated. Wheated moved on. Double wheat versus rye. Rye moved on. I voted a while ago. I said rye beat wheat. I picked double wheat over rye, but I will pick rye over wheat.
Now, the
Roberto,
final-
you ready?
I'm ready. I can call it. Am I the first one, or you picked?
I picked rye a
You
while
picked rye,
ago.
dude.
Dan
I'm gonna
picked
pick
rye.
Rye, all the way. This is phenomenal. Buy it if you see the bottle. Buy it. Phenomenal. You will not be disappointed. You won't be disappointed with any of the 10 that we've
Yeah.
tried tonight. Holy crap.
I think we've tried every expression that they make.
Yeah. You won't be disappointed with any of them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna vote rye too. It's incredible. I love it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, so good. None of these are bad by any
of them are
means.
Even the two.
Yeah, I
you
mean
can't
the
find
the
anymore.
master distillers selections I don't think are easily findable anymore.
Yeah.
But any of the wheated, the straight wheat,
Yep.
the blended bourbon,
Yep.
the rye, all are excellent choices.
So good.
And if you get the chance, they do have bottles that do come with this
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah, yeah.
gold,
Which one is it,
100%
the
24
Infinity?
karat gold. I think this is.
Oh.
I think this is like
I'm
worth
not
like
making that claim.
$7,000. This beautiful gold elk head is
Is
a
it the
pour
Infinity
spout.
one that comes with that? Which one?
No,
is
there's
it?
a couple. Like some of them come with just.
Yeah.
It comes in a box.
I like
big
gift
box.
set type
Yeah, I
thing.
remember. It's like I got one.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
we got
remember-
one for going to the tasting. You and me both got.
Yeah,
one
we
for
got
the
them from
tasting.
Oh,
the
we didn't buy
tasting.
the box,
I
that's
got
right.
mine from the Infinity bottle, I want to say.
I think so.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you want it to look like an elk is puking out the whiskey,
It is beautiful, man.
I mean,
love
it's
that.
got the
I love
exact.
how it looks.
It's if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the beautiful elk head. If not, just think of like if an elk head had the mouth of a sex doll, And that's basically what it is.
Inflatable,
We just lost every sponsorship opportunity.
inflatable sex doll.
It's got that shocked look on its face.
It really does.
And it's a good
it's
good
gotta
elk.
come out of
1,
somewhere,
2,
though.
3, 4, 5. It's like a 12-point elk. So
I don't think that's very good for an elk.
I thought it is.
No, for
know,
a deer,
that's
12 points is decent, but elk, that's pretty young, I think.
No, it's not. That's a 45-year-old elk. It's fine. I know my elk.
Yeah, if anyone knows
Well, it's a
hunting,
6-year
it's
whiskey,
Roberto.
isn't it? It's fitting.
The rye was amazing.
I love the rye.
I'm glad it won. Because this is fantastic.
I had not actually tried the rye before we did that masterclass at Gold Eagle, and when we tried it there, I was absolutely floored.
Blown away.
I'm still gonna
So
say
good.
double wheat's my favorite. If you are a wheated fan
Yeah,
and
I
you
mean,
see the
that's-
double wheat, grab it.
The double wheat is phenomenal.
Don't let $100 double wheat bottle scare you. It's worth
Yeah.
it.
Wait, but that
It's
brings me back
absolutely
to my
worth it.
point. There's not a bad whiskey from Old Elk. They
No,
have-
all of these selections are
phenomenal whiskeys.
fantastic. Yeah.
I haven't tried one that's like, oh, all right, that's okay. No, this is great. Buy it, find it, research it. It's transparent. You can see the match bill in the back.
Yeah.
It's great.
And we'll have the full list will be available on our social medias, which Roberto will throw out.
Oh,
right
you
now.
stole that from me, you son of a bitch.
Normally Dan teased me up, and now it's Jake. That's fine. It's my last episode.
No, your last episode's the next episode we'll do.
Is that tonight? Damn, I want to be drunk.
Take a deep breath. We got a special bourbon coming out for your final episode. Don't
Is
spoil
really?
it.
No,
don't spoil it.
I don't even know what it is.
Don't spoil
I
it.
guess that's technically the unicorn episode too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I guess we can
Well,
do
I
it.
don't even know what it is. So I have
Well,
no-
it is kind of a unicorn episode because we're getting rid of Roberto.
That's true.
Fuck you. Anyway, hey, we're on YouTube now. I don't know if people know that, but we're
Yeah.
on YouTube. You can
Watch
see
us
our-
on YouTube.
You can see our
Like,
episodes.
subscribe, share.
Comment,
Please.
ring a bell.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. Tell us that we're all idiots and we should all go to hell.
Comment.
Can I do a
We
quick?
just need the engagement.
Can I do
We
a
need
quick
the
thing?
metrics. We need the metrics.
My friend Kyle, please just give us a shitty comment.
Yeah,
I
please.
know you listen to all of our stuff. I love you so much, Kyle. Please just give us a shitty comment just so we can see what we can reply with.
Yeah.
I wanted to start like a
If you
Wendy's Twitter style feel on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just like shit on anybody that
Shit
comments.
on people. Oh yeah.
Even if it's crappy comments, it counts for the engagements, and that's good. It'll rise us up to the top of the search if you search bourbon.
Yeah. It's all about beating the algorithm.
We gotta do the SEO.
Oh,
So Roberto did my part, so I'm gonna do Roberto's part.
yeah.
You can find us on Instagram at Bourbon Matters. You can also find us on Facebook by searching Bourbon Matters. Please like and follow and share our posts. To finish off the part that Roberto did not finish
Can I
on my
do?
part.
Can I do that part? Can I
Oh,
do the
yeah, you can
podcast
go
part?
ahead.
Can we just? If you're listening to us on a podcast, you can find us on all major podcast platforms, including Amazon's Audible, Google Play, Apple, iTunes,
Role reversal here. man.
Stitcher, Spotify. Which, by the way, about a month and a half ago, I was with a buddy, and he looked for us on Spotify. And if you type in bourbon space M and search only podcasts, we're the first one that pops up.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
But any of the major podcast
we're
platforms
making
you can
it
find
big.
us on. Like
Yeah,
Roberto said.
please remember to subscribe or follow and click the notification bell. It helps for sure.
It really does. Yeah, it helps us. Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. We've made like $7 so far off of this on.
We're almost at 10.
We're almost at 10.
Hey, that's
If
a win.
everyone listening to
That's a
this
win.
makes sure they likes and subscribes, we might get up to $13 in 7 weeks.
That's a win right there.
We're up to I think 1,500 total plays
Nice.
on our episode. So
Dude, that'll get you out of poverty. Real
Also, we have a website. We will get out of poverty. Dude, in third world countries, we're so rich right now. Also, speaking about money, you can go to our website, bourbonmatterspodcast.com, and donate. Sometimes I update it. It is updated as of now.
Is it?
But-
I don't know.
Yeah, I even have the scheduled episode about ready to come out. I just need Jenna Ray to give me the episode description.
Perfect.
Or Jake. I'm not sure who does that.
Yeah. I'll
but-
get it to you.
But no, you can find all of our stuff on our website. If you're not sure, go to bourbonmatterspodcast.com. Our YouTube page is on there. Our Instagram stuff is on
Why
there.
is Dan repeating everything we just said in the last 10 minutes?
You didn't say anything about the website.
Oh, we didn't?
No one said anything about the website
Well,
yet.
damn it. I thought it was role reversal where I said everything.
You didn't say shit. You said we're on YouTube.
If we were doing
That was it.
if we were doing role reversal, you and me should say nothing. Of
Right.
importance.
Wow. Wow.
All right. Well, we've had like 10 drinks so far today.
Yeah.
At least.
There's a little bit more to go.
We're gonna do one more episode tonight, so stay tuned.
Yeah,
Thank-
so check in next week. Next week will be Roberto's last in-person episode, at least
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
So check into that. We will be doing a unicorn bottle. So tune in. It'll be fun. It'll be a little sad. Maybe Dan will cry.
no.
You are my fire. No.
We're gonna get
So I think the only way to really-
DMCA because of that, Roberto.
The only way to really complete this for me and Dan to cheers.
No, that'll be the last one. I will give Roberto this one.
To celebrate.
Oh, fuck.
Cheers, Roberto.